Well, the Falcons have slayed some giants in the past as we welcome in one of the giants of the Toledo Blade, Michael Burwell, who covers Bowling Green. And we saw that last year against Georgia Tech. We saw it last year giving Michigan quite a battle. So they're not necessarily intimidated by going into Happy Valley.
No, they've played in some big games and they really aren't too fazed by them. I mean, look at what happened at Michigan last year in the first half. Picked off J.J. McCarthy a couple times. They get off to a pretty solid start. Kind of ran out of quarterbacks a little bit, but they're not afraid of these big games. They go down to Georgia Tech and obviously not the crowd like a Michigan, but they dominate that game. Even you look at Minnesota, a few years ago, Happy Valley is obviously pretty tough, but all of these players on BG have experience in big games like that. So. It could be interesting there.
Nittany Lions opened the season with a victory over West Virginia. Bowling Green, maybe more impressive victory, certain by the numbers alone, not by the level of competition with what they did against Fordham. They set the tone right from the start as Peagies took that kickback. Great blocking by Patterson. It earned Peagies the MAC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yeah, what a play to start the season. I mean, my goodness. And that was Justin Peagies' first play as a BGSU Falcon, transferred from Tennessee Tech. What a way to start your career at a new school. I mean, it was just such a great play. Fellow running back Jason Patterson's right there running with him, and then he takes out two dudes in about midfield, just in Fordham's territory. Just such an impressive run back, such an impressive block, and I mean that just completely carried over. I mean, they scored 3 touchdowns on their next 3 offensive possessions. They're absolutely rolling at that point, but that was a very, very electric way to start the season.
We knew coming out of training camp there was going to be some injury issues with Bowling Green. Of course, they weren't going to be forthcoming saying exactly what those were. Now that you saw who played, or more importantly, who did not play against Fordham, what's the injury situation looking like for BG?
Yeah, it's still kind of hard to tell, but there's some pretty big names that were out. Backup quarterback Camden Orth, who has seen a ton of time, the last couple years. He was on the sideline. Linebacker Demetrius Hardiman obviously, had a really, tough year last year with the injury at Michigan. He was out as well. One of the best, one of their better wide receivers, R.J. Garcia II. He was out. Looked like maybe a lower leg injury. He was out as well. So some pretty big names on the injured list. I think overall they had 9 injured players on the report. A couple younger guys who I kind of expected would get some action sooner rather than later. They weren't available as well. So, injuries are definitely going to happen, but, a few of those guys being out definitely hurts.
Falcons met goal 1. They got the victory. Did they meet their other goals coming off that victory?
I think so, because it seemed like everyone got out of there healthy, and that's what it's all about kind of within this week-by-week basis is, did you stay healthy? And especially with the opponents they have coming up with Penn State, Texas A&M. But yeah, they definitely, Scott Loeffler said they wanted to run the ball, and they absolutely ran the ball at will. 305 rushing yards. Terrion Stewart just simply sensational. Even quarterback Connor Bazelak, he had a couple nice scrambles. He looked pretty good coming off off-season surgery on his knee, and so I think they wanted to run the ball. They did that. They came out at halftime, allowed a touchdown to Fordham. Maybe it wasn't the start they were hoping, but they did kind of settle down and play better. Got to within 17 points there, and everyone remembers, the Toledo game last year. They blew an 18-point halftime lead, so maybe there are a little bit of concerns, but they finished the job and took care of business down the stretch.
And certainly the level of competition goes drastically up against Penn State on Saturday. We know there's going to be a talent gap. We know that's probably going to show up in the terms of depth. That's kind of what happened with Michigan, what you alluded to earlier, that Wolverines were able to wear them down in the second half last year. What's the biggest concern for the Falcons heading into a matchup against a top 10 team?
Yeah, it's just, honestly, I think it's just coming out healthy. You don't want to, depending on how long Camden Orth's out, who knows. If Connor Bazelak goes down, then you're looking at, redshirt freshman quarterback Lucian Anderson III, who got a ton of reps and everything, which is nice. But, and after that, it's getting a little thin at the quarterback position. They've got to come out healthy. I think they can make some plays. I think they can do some good things. they have the experience. They have some good players. I mean, but it's just about staying healthy. You know, these games are exciting. It's fun to go into these types of environments. But after what happened at Michigan last year, for how many injuries they had, that completely affected them following week against Ohio and even throughout the rest of the season. So I don't know. We just gotta I think stay healthy for the most part.
One of the interesting subplots of this matchup, as you pointed out, Michael, is Connor Bazelak. Used to be at Indiana. Indiana's head coach when Bazelak was there, Tom Allen, now the defensive coordinator at Penn State. So that'll be something to maybe keep an eye on to see just how much Tom Allen remembers about Connor Bazelak and what he can throw some things at him on Saturday.
Right. That'll be interesting, and obviously Connor knows Tom Allen's defense. So kind of an interesting little battle within the battle there.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Burwell from the Toledo Blade, as the Falcons head on the road for the first time this season. Thank you.
Thanks.